Today I am speaking to Jolita, Chief People Officer at Payabl. In her role as CPO, Jolita is driving the company's global people strategy across fast-growing teams and regions. With over 15 years of leadership experience across financial services, private wealth management, property development, and F&B, she shapes culture, talent, and organizational growth with a sharp focus on performance and scale. Jolita, welcome to the Future Makers podcast.
Hello, thank you for invitation. Such a serious introduction.
I feel like you deserve it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's start from the foundations. How would you define HR?
Despite that still some people see HR as administrative role, I see HR as value-generating function within the organization, and this value is generated through people, through their behavior. And let's say a lot of companies, they're talking about the strategy, they talk about growth, revenue, and so on. But behind all of that, there is people, right? Who are making decisions, who are collaborating, who are taking ownership, right? So HR function is to read, to assess those behaviors and to create the environment where those people can perform at their best, let's say.
I was reading one of your LinkedIn posts, and you were talking about like the definitions around HR, and I think one of the things you said is that when you're talking to candidates, you say, who does HR, you ask them, who does HR work for?
Yeah.
And the answer you don't like is if they say it's for the employees.
Yes, actually, this is one of my favorite questions, especially when I'm looking the people to join my team. Because, it's a very big misconception thinking that HR works for employees. Unfortunately, it's not. HR works for the business, and HR function is to make sure that the people performing at their best, as I said before, in order for the business performance to be good, right?
I want to kind of dig a little deeper into kind of how you came into this sector of HR. What actually attracted you to working with people?
Most probably I came to HR like by accident. But from the very beginning, I would say I love this complexity which you can find in HR, because there is no templates how you need to do the things, right? There is no one way of doing things. All the time things are changing, developing, evolving. So you are constantly need to educate yourself. So you constantly need to go out of your comfort zone by, things like, I know how to do. My first touch to HR, it wasn't in the HR position. I remember I was working in academic environment, and I was, this middle person between students and institution. So this is where I believe I exercised the HR function for the first time.
And what was it about that experience that made you want to think, okay, let's go from this academic environment and go into more corporate environments?
When I started working, it was, very different times, because HR by that time was very administrative, very operational function in the organizations. So after the academic environment, after a few years, I had the chance to join international confectionery company. And there I was real HR, but I was working, like basically my task was mostly operational tasks, But still, even I was working with very different type of talents there than I'm working now. it still was a lot of complexity in that. It's still, you couldn't use the template because every person have like very different expectations, very different situations. So this complexity, even in the operational sort of case, it was, obvious in that time.
So you went from working more administrative.
Yeah.
When was your first role that, or at least in what company was your first role where you actually saw that this is something different? This is not just admin tasks. There's a whole culture I need to manage.
If as what HR is today, most probably I saw 5 years ago at payabl. It's was the first time conversation I had with our group CEO, Ugne, when she said that, my job, it will be to make sure that our people happy because they are the most important asset within organization. I'm having the goosebumps all the time when I'm saying the story so often. But really, hearing those words, like it's been my guidance from day one I start working, So I believe who HR really is, what impact it can have for the business performance, I saw at payabl because I believe maybe, I have just great leadership who understands the importance of people in the organization.
I actually kind of want to talk about that because one of the questions I had for you was how important is a leaders within organizations to actually understand that the team that they have, the people within their team, is just as valuable as, let's say, making deadlines or making some kind of product. How important is it for you to be able to influence leaders, to be able to understand that as much as, work towards pushing the team itself towards the goals?
I believe everything starts from the leadership.
Yeah.
Like, even as such a cliche, but everything starts from leadership. I believe for any manager, it's very important to understand why we are coming here, right? We are coming here for business. We are coming for the business, the performance, right? And when you have this, you have to have, basic understanding how do people perform, in which environment do they perform, right? You always also need to assess each person within your team to understand what motivates them, what is driving them, because maybe you need, some compliment. Maybe I need constantly to get some bonus, to be motivated. So it's very important, how to manage each of your team member, right? Or what environment to give. Maybe with some person, is performing the best, they are thriving, then they are, feeling that you are breathing on their neck, right? Other person likes the freedom, like flexibility, right? So it's very important to understand that. And this is, being flexible with your team. It's very important, not because to be a good manager, because this is literally going to influence the business, because happy people, motivated people, empowered people, or when their needs, basic and so on up is fulfilled, they are performing the best, they don't calculate the efforts, they are taking ownership, they are collaborating, with creativity and so on. It's different tier of work what they are delivering, to the company.
No, that's very true. I think as you're talking, one of the questions I got was, how do you balance that all out? You are dealing with individuals and you are working at payabl, who has how many employees now?
Soon, I believe today we are almost 300 people.
300 people.
Yes,
who
I'm
are
having the goosebumps, because it's because I started at payabl when it was 30 of us. We were like little family office. And now 300 people, and I'm so proud because this is growth, it's the result of all of us who been working for the company.
As a control function. Can you kind of comment on that?
I wouldn't say it's control, right? But we also have to understand that, of course, we want people to be happy, empowered, motivated, that they feel the best themselves, right, in order to perform the best.
Yeah.
But also, people have certain human behaviors that sometimes, would like to abuse the system, or the processes. So, it's important, that HR would take this function, which is helping the guidance our moral and ethical standards within the organization, let's say.
I've heard now the word happy quite often
Yeah.
in how you're speaking. What does people being happy actually mean for you when it comes to a work environment?
I believe that, how people show up.
Yeah.
It's very obvious, if people are happy or not. If people show up and, you can see that they are showing up just for the paycheck, and 6 o'clock, bye.
Yeah.
It's, I don't think so they're happy. They're just doing something in order to have money to pay the rent, right? But if you see people who are really care, not only about the company, but let's say about certain project, how they are collaborating, how they are brainstorming, how they are not calculating their energy into that, how they are acting in the certain issues which comes up, This is what you can see, the happiness of employees, how they are involved and how do they show up. Also for me, other very amazing indicator is when I see my colleagues being proud of being part of payabl, So for me, I believe this is what professional happiness it is.
Let's talk about some trends that you are seeing within the HR sector, because I know you are very active within like the HR. You go to a lot of panels. You have a lot of discussions about what is kind of happening around Cyprus, around the globe, and what you are seeing. What are some of the HR trends you are seeing currently?
One of the, it's obvious, AI, right? And I see AI as extremely useful tool, especially in recruitment, in sourcing, in data analytics within HR function. Hopefully, very soon we are going to utilize this tool in our onboarding, maybe one day payroll. I don't know. I really see this tool extremely useful. But this concept that, HR is going to be replaced by AI, it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit delusional from my perspective because, human behaviors are much more complex than some admin or data analysis, right? I believe that HR future goes more to the studies of the human behavior on the body language and so on. This is where the future goes for HR. Of course, admin will be taken over by AI for sure, and most probably it will be less mistakes, and so on. Other trend, which is not really the trend, but flexibility and remote working. It became such a popular thing after the COVID times, but if we see now, there are a lot of companies, they slowly going back because they see in the long run that is not that efficient as they thought, because what I said before, people just tend to abuse the system, right? Which is normal. So we see, that flexibility and remote working is not for all industries, and most probably it will stay only in those positions which doesn't require, let's say, you to be available during certain working hours, or is not requiring the collaboration between people, right? When maybe some creativity, and it will stay in the positions where there are very strong KPIs for the performance. Other trend which I see as well, which I'm very curious, I don't think so we are ready, but is personalized employees experience. Yes, it's, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it sounds fancy.
Yeah, it sounds fancy, but imagine like you're coming to the company and it's everything about you, the way how you feel the best. But, we need to check reality and, we need to implement so many other things, to have it consistent and fairly, and that maybe we are not there yet. But hopefully, maybe one day we will.
I want to kind of go back to the point of like hybrid working. I know at Payable, do you work, is it hybrid model, is it in office model, or is it remote?
Look,
How is it?
we are promoting come to the office, especially now that we have a new payable tower. For us, it's very important, that people gathering together. And there is, studies behind that because, when I see you every day, when I talk with you, when I'm coming to you for help or you are coming to me for favor, we have a different relationship, we have a different connection. It means that, certain issues, certain problems, they will be solved in more efficient way, right? Of course, we have a team members who are working, hybrid mode, team members who are working, in all the world remotely. So, we are welcome any way of working as long as, person performs.
Yeah.
But me, myself, I am huge office fan, I love coming to the office.
I mean, you mentioned before like the emphasis on like human gestures and like body language.
Yeah.
How did you struggle during like the COVID restrictions, the remote working? What were like some of the biggest struggles you were having in being able to, interpret screen language?
I've been very lucky. During the COVID times, I was going to the office.
Okay? Oh, nice.
So I had zero traffic. It was
in Limassol.
Yes, it was fantastic times. I was having my parking always ready for me. So I didn't face that issue. If it would happen now, because we had the situation when we were moving, from our office in the zoo area to the newest one office, we needed to work from home for a few weeks. For me, it was very difficult. Like I really had, some anxiety because I was always feeling that I am missing something, that I'm missing some part of information which you can, receive through absorbing the environment.
So for you, a physical room is just vital for you to understand.
Absolutely. I believe for any relationship, even in the professional environment, is extremely important.
If you look back at like how you started, in the HR and how you kind of approach it today, what are some of the skills that you've kind of developed and maybe some of the way you go about things? What has been the biggest difference in the way you approach HR?
Well, there are a lot of skills I need to develop and improve. I will not speak about that. But one of the biggest things, what I changed in working in HR, is how, at some point you can see that the people taking HR not very serious. They are thinking that your advices, your guidance is based on your feelings, or your opinion or whatever. And at certain point, I started with the help of my team to implement, tangible arguments in, data-driven numbers, which are supporting, my suggestions. So I believe to use data-driven information, to use this more reasonable numbers in HR, it been extremely helpful for me in influencing and helping to make decisions.
Is data-driven kind of work popular within the HR sector, or is it something that's a more recent addition?
Look, I hope so that is popular because, monitoring that you can avoid, you can see early risk signs, and you can avoid some issues. So I believe I want to believe that is popular, and it's very useful. It's even, like kind of self-control, because you can, if you have by department as well, it is very useful, to understand where do you stand, not only on your own as the manager of the domain, but how in general, where do you stand in the whole group, let's say.
Of course, and it also kind of gives you, like you were saying, a foundation to all your arguments, and it connects you to all the other
For example,
departments.
imagine we are collecting even this information, how many offers been rejected.
Yeah.
And if you see that, rejected offers for the candidates came most often from the manager A, is, there is an issue, we need to find out what is the issue, right? And like to make sure that it will never happen again. And I believe this is one of the most amazing things we implemented at Payabl. Maybe I needed to implement this much more earlier, but maybe, we were much more smaller.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit irrelevant, but now it's perfect, and I hope that we are going to dive deeper and, I'm bothering our finance analytic guys, to find other ways how also, finance and HR coming together to understand as well how much it costs those efforts per employee, and so on and so on.
I'm interested in kind of learning about your experience, working in HR as a woman. I know there's a lot of talk about like the confidence gap in like women, especially women who are in advisory roles or in leadership roles. And there's always this, what they talk about is that they are afraid to give suggestions or to give guidance or to give actually even rules or implement rules and regulations. What has your experience been? And have you experienced the confidence gap?
I believe my answer will be very disappointing for some people, because I've been very lucky, especially now at Payabl. Our leadership, half of the leadership are female. We are led by the female group CEO. So, I never felt that. But even in my previous work environments, I never felt that I am less or I need to prove a bit something more just because I'm a woman, right? Maybe I needed to do it because I had lack of certain skills, or maybe lack of some experience, and so on and so on. So I never felt that. Regarding self-confidence, of course, like any human being, despite of the gender, there are days or there are subjects or matters which maybe I know less or understand less, so I have a less self-confidence. But, I look very intimidating, so, it's... It really helps, to me.
You walk into the room and they're all shaking and shivering.
No, maybe not shaking, but it really helps to me because they don't know that I'm shaking my legs. Yeah.
One thing that you also write about a lot is about diversity. You wrote that you don't do diversity, you live it within your organization. What do you mean by that?
Because, we have an amazing, let's say, numbers when we are talking about diversity, nationalities, languages, gender equality, right? Age equality. Our employees are from 21 years old until 64, I believe, It's amazing. But the thing is that I feel that we didn't put zero effort in that. It just happened organically, right? I believe we just been very open-minded by choosing which people are joining our teams, understanding where we have gaps and we need to fill those gaps. And this is what happened. And, I really believe in diversity from that perspective, that it's never lets you to be comfortable. It's always challenging you. It's you in constant growth setup, mind setup. So I really, really love that. And I really, really love that, for us happened so easily, so organically. It's like we are so proud of that, but, it's like, it just happened.
It just happened.
Yeah.
But I guess you also have to think about how you've kind of created a company that people from diverse backgrounds are attracted to. So in a way, even, you attract them, but they are attracted to you too.
Yeah.
So they feel that confidence and that desire to want to be a part of that.
I believe it's part of the culture, because for us it's very important to hear what do you think, about this, that, or something else, right? What is your perspective, in that? So, when you show, for the people that your opinion, your experience, your background about a certain matter is important, people feeling more comfortable, to share that. And, the best our ambassadors actually are our employees, because we have extreme significant number of internal referrals within payabl, so people promoting to other people payabl, so this says a lot.
How do you manage all of these cultures and different background experiences, especially if you're talking about bringing people into a physical space? How do you kind of create this platform that people feel safe in to share their thoughts and to be able to do their work, whilst also taking into consideration that maybe there are not just character differences, but just cultural differences at
there
play?
are, of course, many misunderstandings, right? It can be, even some small conflicts, just because, I thought that is rude the way you said, right? Or why haven't you been late? Why, and so on and so on. There are a lot of misunderstandings, but, we are trying, how to say, shape things, so from HR perspective, so maybe to organize certain events when people come together, food and drinks always connecting people, always also, to share maybe some songs what we are listening from our culture, or, to share our traditional foods and to give to our colleagues to taste. Also is extremely beneficial is to go on the business trips to the different locations, to the different offices. It's really helpful because, when someone is coming, you want to show what is happening here and so on. So it's really, it goes through from human perspective, and in the end of the day, it's benefiting business,
Of course. I wanted to ask you about if there is one thing now in the HR sector that you would want to change, what would it be? I know you were mentioning some trends, but is there anything that is still kind of maybe stale within the HR sector that needs changing?
Yes, a lot of things needs to be changed, right? First of all those stereotypes. Also, I believe a lot of people who are holding the senior HR roles, they shouldn't be there. But one of the biggest thing which constantly goes to my nerves is when companies says, using this concept like, we are like family here. I cannot stand that because it is business. There is, professional environment. Even as family business, it's still business. There is exchange relationship. Company provides opportunities. Employees give the skills. And when you go with this narrative, you build like very wrong expectations. And those expectations, because of course they will never be fulfilled, because, we are not sisters and brothers. They are going to bring the huge disappointment, which is eventually going to affect the business results.
I have another question to you about communities. You are part of a few, or at least you attend a lot of the HR communities here in Cyprus.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is for HR professionals to be kind of connected to other HR professionals in local communities or even global communities? What do you get from these, exchanges?
I will speak on behalf of myself. For me, first of all, is you are changing the information. You are changing the experiences, right? If you go to any round table, you should hear, but how you doing this? How you doing that? So, and then you are bringing the ideas to your team. So this is pretty amazing. Also, you are sharing other information, maybe some in learning, and so on. So I see this extremely useful from that perspective. And also, maybe some people really need to belong to a certain community when people are doing the same what you are doing, right? I believe it's important to everyone to have this feeling of belonging.
Is there any advice you got that you thought wouldn't work, or maybe something unexpected from any of these roundtables?
Maybe advice is, it was more about some new implementations in the law or something. I don't remember very clearly, but I'm just maybe not going there for advices, I'm going there to communicate, to share the experience and so on. And, that maybe my experience, which I am doing, is not the best one. So it also couldn't be taken as advice, right? I don't know. So it's like, it's about, sharing and hearing the others, yeah.
If you were advising a CEO who is now trying to grow their company, as you have done in Payable, what are the first moves you would tell them to make when it comes to the culture within their company and helping opening their eyes to
what needs to be changed?
What needs to be changed?
First, anyone, despite in any position, they should understand with what material they are working. So first they need to understand the data, what they have. They need to understand what is attrition, turnover, and so on, so on. So basically numbers, right? Second, they need to receive the feedback from their employees, anonymous one, and also, they have to understand that even the surveys or any other form, the feedback is gathered. It will never show the full picture because people tend to have concerns even if it is anonymous surveys, let's say, right? So basically, when you have this information, what do you have in numbers, percentages, right? What patterns you can see is happening with your organization. You have a feedback, approximate feedback from your employees. You need to understand, next step is to assess how much resources you are going to invest in that. It means timing, the finance and people resources. And when you understand how much you are going of those resources to invest, you are making the action plan, the short-term action plan, longer term, and you are constantly monitoring and see what is working, what is not.
My last question to you is, thinking about the future of HR, what kind of future are you building towards within the sector?
Hopefully, it will be much more loud as it is now, a bit more accepted, and accepted, as I mentioned before, from analytical perspective, from the human behavior analytical perspective, that we will go include maybe, like psychological elements in the work. This is what I believe could be extremely useful,
Jolita, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation, and there was a lot of information that I think people within the sector would really benefit from listening to your suggestions and advice.